What's going on, everybody? WWE Hall of Famer, The Godfather here, and I want everybody to know that you are listening to the Wrestling _ Hip Hop Podcast, your home for all things wrestling and hip hop. So I want everybody to tune in and subscribe to Wrestling _ Hip Hop on Speaker Radio. And then I want everybody to follow them on Instagram at Wrestling _ Hip Hop. Now everybody enjoy the show. And keep it pimping, baby. Peace.
Zenshi The Aerial Artist, and I'm on PoPolitickin. We just had an excellent interview. If you want to find me, if you want to follow The Aerial Artist, it's at The Aerial Artist on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, InstaFace, all the above. I'll see you there.
CJ knows.
Welcome back to PoPolitickin.com, your home for self-help meets hip-hop. Make sure you go on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play. This is some of our interviews from 2008. Also, this is going to be on my Wrestling _ Hip Hop podcast, so check that out. Shout out to my co-host, 1212. I'm in the place to be with
Zenshi The Aerial Aerial Artista.
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. Like I said, I be watching Major League Wrestling, and I seen you on a few of the episodes, but then I'm going back now, and I see you've been in the game for a while now.
Yeah, this is 10 years. 10 years going strong.
You a vet. I'm 12. I'm trying to stay.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Started at 18, 28 right now, so what you call a little young vet is what they call it.
Where you from?
From Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
Trained at the WWA 4 with initially with Mr. Hughes. Total Protection, Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, you went into my next question. I saw you. I was gonna ask you about that. How was that working with Mr. Hughes?
Interesting. It was around maybe 15 years old that I was really considering like I gotta try this wrestling thing. I become a closet wrestling fan from like maybe 12-ish to like 15. It started really hitting a fever pitch. WWE was all I knew. But I was like, how do you start? How do you get into this? So with some Google searching, I found the WWA 4. I don't know why. I was like, WWA 4, what's the 4 stand for? To this day, it stands for nothing. Turns out the original owner, Frank Aldridge, he just put the 4 to be different. It stands for World Wrestling Alliance 4. They ain't a number 1, the number 2, or number 3. I find it hilarious. Not many people know that. But anyway, the WWA 4 wrestling school, the head trainer was Total Protection. Good old Total Protection, Mr. Hughes. And, he stole the Undertaker's urn, you see. He loves bragging about that. that's his claim to fame. He's Jericho's bodyguard.
Still got it? Still got the urn? He walking around with it and shit?
He's definitely got a lot of pictures of it. I think the Undertaker took that shit back, but I don't know.
All right, you kind of mentioned it. So, what made you want to be a pro wrestler?
I wanted to try it out. I was also a gymnast when I was 10. Started when I was 10, up until about 14, 15. I competed, at a pretty high level for a kid. So I was already athletic and liked to flip. And I was in a pizza parlor one day, waiting for my pizza, and they had SmackDown on the screen. And Eminem came out. I'm like, who are these little sleazeballs? And with this little. With Melina with him, okay, whatever. Then Batista came out, big old muscle dude, and his partner was Rey Mysterio. This little guy with a mask coming out, and I'm like, okay, kind of like his vibe. And ding, 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 he's flipping all over the place, and he's doing moonsaults, and head scissors, and I'm like, what is this? Like I had never seen anything like this before, and I was like, well, I can hit flip, I can do a backflip, I think I could do that. And ever since then, I was like, man, I started getting the itch. I had to try it. So found the school, walked in. Really, I went to a show. Every Thursday, the wrestling school has a show for the students to kind of perform in front of their family and friends, which is a huge advantage. There's not many places that do that. And so we went to a show. There's like, I don't know, 9 fans there, maybe 12. And it's one of the slow nights. And I remember the main event. It was this tag team called Ash and Jimmy versus the Hooligans. And I know you probably heard the Hooligans before if you are a wrestling fan, especially in the Midwest. But the Hooligans are an awesome tag team. And way back then, turns out, they came from the WWA 4 too.
Mm.
And I loved it. I said I could do that. If they could do it, I could do it. And the rest was a lot of history.
Man, what was you doing in gymnastics? Like, I know they got like different events. So what was your event?
Yeah, so I did the all around. So I did the floor exercise, the pommel horse, the rings, parallel bars, high bar, and the vault. So yeah, I competed all of that.
Okay. I know you had a few different names before you settled on this one, right? I saw that.
Yeah, it's it's been definitely an evolution. I
was gonna ask you about that. How did you find your character and everything?
Well, ain't no characters here. This is some real life ish. It's before I donned the mask, I had a very, at the time, unfortunate injury. I don't know if you know.
Oh yeah, I just saw it. I was gonna ask you about that. That was crazy.
Devastating, right? Crazy. Where I actually went for a double moonsault, under rotated, opened at the wrong, and I instantly knew it was wrong. I instantly could feel it. I was like, man, I didn't set up enough. I didn't bring my knees to my chest. I didn't quite calculate that move was going to be at the end of the match versus like just doing it when you're fresh.
Yeah.
I was, we can really dissect the story if you want. I don't know how much time you got, but
no, we got time, cuz.
Yeah, you got to do a better job directing because I'm going to go all over the place with tangents.
Right. We good.
So I don't know what you want to know, what you're trying to know.
Yeah. No, I saw that, then I was like, damn. So you did break your neck? Because somebody wrote, I saw the comment, somebody said you broke your neck, but then it was like, man, he kicked out. Because you kicked out too. I was like, damn.
So must go on. It's crazy. So the way I landed like this all the way. I can't even replicate the position, but I fractured my occipital condyle. Now, basically, that's the hardest part of your skull. It's like the base of your skull where it connects to the spinal cord of your neck, right? So technically, some doctors were like, yeah, it's your skull. And some doctors were like, yeah, it's the same thing. It's your neck. So I can say I broke my skull and my neck. But the doctor that finally, did the CAT scans and everything described it as, he said, because of gymnastics, my neck muscles were so stronger than normal, that it took all the force first.
Wow.
So whatever was left over hit the bone, which fortunately is a better situation. And also the impact was right to the right of my spinal cord. So even if it would have hit, maybe an inch to the left, like I'd at least be paralyzed. Like all the professionals that watch it, like, yeah, you should have, you really got lucky. You really should be dead or not talking to me right now. So yeah, never do that again. You should retire. And that should be it. You should say, you should live a quiet life in the mountains, basically is what they're insinuating. But yeah, we all know how that worked out.
Yeah, how long were you out over their injury, though?
It said 6 months to a full recovery. I just needed to hear the words full recovery. Once I heard that, I was like, oh, we off to the races. And, on some real shit, there's a lot of ways it could have gone. I was still coaching gymnastics at the time. And when I was leaving for that trip, one of the parents jokingly was like, oh, you have a wrestling event? Oh, you haven't done one of those in a while. Don't break your neck. Ha, ha, ha. So they really preferred me not to wrestle. They wanted me to just coach their kids, and that's it. And they're totally on board now. But back then, this was the mindset. So you have people saying, oh, this silly wrestling thing. What are you doing? You're 21. Why don't you go to college and blah, blah, blah. All right. And then you got other people that, your supporters and your family, if there happen to be your supporters that are like, yeah, I support you 100%. Then you got your own doubts and your own goals and wants. I'm early in this. This is only a year and a half in for me. So I had a lot of decisions to make after that. all of that whole day was a whirlwind. But waking up the next day, Larry Legend, one of the best announcers in the whole planet Earth, took care of me. I stayed at his house in New York.
Larry Sabisco?
Larry Legend.
Oh, okay.
Larry Legend, yeah. And yeah, I remember waking up the next day, and when all this started going viral, and I started trying to review what was happening, I had a lot of paths I could have taken. Do I stop wrestling? Do I come back to wrestling but be conservative? That could be an option. But none of that even like stuck. It was like, no, once I heard full recovery, I'm like, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show all these mother effers who the real high flyer is. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to really show you what I got. There's a lot of people, there's this crowd that's like, look at this dumbass, like, oh, he tried to hit a double moonsault, he tried to be Ricochet, he tried to be this and that. And, there's some truth to what he was saying. Like I said, I should have been doing that move. I can hit it in my sleep. I'm a gymnast. I've trained. I've done it off the rings and the floor, blah, blah. But in that particular night, in that particular instance, I wasn't even 100%. Hadn't been sleeping. There was no need for that risk. Okay, fair enough. But then there's another side. People that knew me was like, no, he's actually legit. He's actually can do some of the most awe-inspiring things you've ever seen. He just needs a platform. He just needs a chance. He just kind of screwed up, So like that was like the chasm of I could really see the naysayers and then the supporters. And when I came back, of course, all eyes were on me. It turned out I went to a convention. I met Beth Phoenix there, and she was like, "Oh, you're the guy," because Carlito saw me. He was like, "You're the guy," blah blah blah. He was like, "Let me introduce you to my friends." So Tommy Dreamer comes over, and they're like, "We all saw it." And I'm like, that's when I really saw like how much it went through the wrestling community. Like Beth Phoenix, I watched that with Edge, and he really felt something for you because he also has neck issues. And I'm like, shit, Edge watched my clip, like it was easy, right? So that really gave me more motivation to really prove those naysayers wrong and those YouTube haters wrong. And I was like, it gave me more fuel, boom, 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 and it kept me going.
I would say, I know, like, just, athlete playing through any injury, you don't have any, like, how do you go through, like, the thoughts in your mind? I guess the fear, per se. Like, how did you get over the fear? Especially, like,
Well, I knew I had to do it again. I knew I had to do it again as soon as possible at the right time. And because even as a gymnast, when I'm teaching, if one of my kids is learning something new and they have a scary turn, right, where it kind of freaks them out a little bit. We're doing dangerous things, right? We have to do it again. We can't let it defeat you, because if we in practice like that, then it won. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that I was going to look for the right opportunity to bust it out again, and that opportunity came 2014, which was about a year and a half later at Pro Wrestling Syndicate, and I did it to the outside as a to try to attack everybody. Sanjay Dutt was in this match, Facade, myself wrestling as Shinron at the time, and there was a few others. But yeah, nailed it, landed on my feet, knocked out 4 of them. The whole crowd was like, oh, like the whole crowd rose. Like it was an unreal feeling. I took a lap around the ring just because I couldn't, it was, imagine, going through all that and then like proving to yourself and then proving to everybody else that I still got it, And so that was the second time. And then the third time was in Chile. I'm the first person ever to do a double moonsault in the southern hemisphere of the planet. If anyone's got a record, prove me wrong. But we did the math. It's pretty cool. Did it in Chile, knocked out a whole crew of people to hold on to my championship there because I was getting outnumbered.
So when did you become the aerial artist?
The aerial artist. So Zenshi came from a result of, getting a little burnt out as Shinron. So I was charade at first. Charade is like the origin, right? The phoenix that came back from the dead. That kicked out and survived and came back. But through that, to show, like I said before, to show you guys, who's the best here. That's like the dragon. That's like the force of the dragon, the proud. So that's Shinron. But after a while, maybe around 2016, I needed a new goal. I felt like I had really shown what I was capable of, at least up to that point. And, at least I got people saying, all right, this guy is legit. So I needed new motivation, I kind of stopped seeking bookings altogether. I kept honoring the bookings I had and just kind of let it flow to me. I was a little burnt out with wrestling, so to speak. was just kind of coasting along, and I had to go away. I had to find myself again. I had to find why I do this. I had to find my Zen, so to speak. So Zenshi actually means complete history, right? It actually translates to that. So you have Charade, who's one half of the yin yang, Phoenix, and then the dragon on the other half, Shinron. Now I'm complete. I spent my whole time as Shinron running away from my past, trying not to associate with it. No, that wasn't me, blah, blah, I'm better now. Get that out of your head, blah, blah, blah. But I realized I had to embrace, no, that's who I am. You know, I have to embrace the complete version of me. And now I'm a more complete performer as well. Shinron didn't know how to wrestle. He knew how to flip. You know, he was a great high flyer because that's what his goal was, you know, to show you guys. But I didn't have the complete package. I had to really work on myself. I had to really work on my mental. I had to really work on my whole approach to wrestling. And I feel like I found that now with Zenshi, and MLW has given me a platform to showcase that to a broader range of people.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw it, like you said, you was in Chile. So were you honing your skills there?
Yes, Chile, Peru. Yeah, definitely road traveled. Definitely road travel. You know, I have a lot of fun with international trips. That's another thing that got the fun back in me, as far as wrestling goes. You know, the U.S. scene is full of opportunity and this and that and what have you, but there's certainly a lot of politics anywhere you go, right? And I was a little burnt out of the politics in the U.S. You know,
how did you get over there?
Crazy story, right? So A.R. Fox, the first international CLL All-Stars champion, Chile Lucha Libre All-Stars champion, a guy I trained with. You know, he also trained at the WWA4. You know, Fox. So, you know, he was 3 years our senior in the school, right? So he was getting these opportunities at like CZW before anyone else, you know. So he would come back from these shows and tell us his experience, right? Then he would get a shot at Evolve, and, you know, he would come back and tell all the other students. And he was like the mold breaker. And there was a little promotion in Chile, far away. They call it Chile the end of the earth because it's just a little sliver. It's not something people think about. It was a promotion full of hardworking, talented, passionate wrestlers, wrestling fans, and whatnot. And they wanted to do better. They wanted to be a part of the international conversation. They wanted to put their best foot forward. So what they did is they created an international championship, and they had a tournament. And they were like, well, let's invite the best people we can that want to come. And A.R. Fox got that invite, and he was like, he didn't even think it was real at first, but they brought him down and had him participate in this tournament, and he wins the darn thing. So now A.R. Fox is the first ever CLL International All-Stars champion. So he comes back to the USA with this foreign title belt. It's silver. Actually, I have it right here.
Oh, I think I saw a video of you in like the Fox Academy.
Yeah, it's missing a piece, and that's another part of the story of this championship. But look how strange it looks. Like you can tell it's like another planet or something like this. So he comes back with this belt, and people are like, "What is that?" And you know, and he's on CZW at the time, and you know, Dragon Gate USA. He's got some visibility, and he's kicking ass. So he defends it here and there, and that's that. Around this time, so this is 2013, I think he won. Early 2013. Around this time, I'm recovering from my neck injury. Okay? Around this time, I'm just getting my feet wet again and finding, you know, my voice, which not Chikara at the time. Wrestling is fun. Shinron is starting to come about. And I had some decisions to make, like I told you before. Like, do I come back? Do I go all in with wrestling? So I decided to move up to the Northeast from Georgia to be closer to a lot of these opportunities. You know what I mean? And it just so happens that around that time was Air Fox's second trip back to Chile. And he comes back, and we were cool at the time. You know, we're bros from the school. He comes back. He said, "Oh, yeah, I showed him your video." Because he defended the championship against me right before he left. Just so you know, because he don't back down from a challenge. He beat me, of course, at Beyond Wrestling, which was kind of cool. The same place I broke my neck. So he comes back and he's like, "Oh, I showed them your video, the video of us fighting, and they said they like you. They might call you or something." And he left it at that. He went about his life. Sure enough, I've got a freaking phone call from a foreign number, and I swear I almost sent it to spam. but I answered it, and it was this guy broken English. He was like, "Hey, my name is so and so. I have to move quickly, but I saw the match, and I would love to give you another opportunity at the championship because I think you have something special." And I was like, "Word." Just so happens that Beyond Wrestling, who we had the first match for, here in the States, they loved our match so much that they immediately had already scheduled a rematch for us at their bigger event at Fat Music the next month. I didn't even know that. So now you got the officials in Chile saying, "Yeah, we need to see that again, run it back." Beyond Wrestling saying, "Yeah, we need to see it again, run it back." And then those two promotions worked together and hosted another championship match. And I freaking won. So now you got this young kid who 2 years ago was on his deathbed. Now he's got this championship that nobody can touch. All this, especially with all the politics that was going on at the time, and this person trying to pull me this way and this person trying to discredit me. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there in entertainment and in wrestling. But now I have an asterisk that nobody could take away because it's like, this is not your jurisdiction. This was a symbol that I could run with. And I held that championship for almost 2,000 days, 1,995 days before finally losing it last August to Mr. Caden, one of the top stars in Chile. So the title is now back in Chile, but that's the story in a nutshell.
And I see you. So when did you learn Spanish?
I'm still working on it. I should know a lot more Spanish than I know right now, but mi practica. I'm still practicing.
I know. I was like, that's when I first saw you because I saw the mask. So I'm thinking like you like a luchador. I'm thinking like you like like Dominican Republic or something like that. But then when I heard you talk, right? Yeah, well, now I hear you talk, I was like, man, he's from out here. Let me hit him up and see what's up. But yeah, it's still cool, man.
I'm American. But the people in Chile have embraced me so much, and I feel like so much of my career, really the bulk of my career, I have been champion, defending this, which is crazy. Like 10 years in and 5.5 of that, I've been world champion. Right now, I hold a title in Peru, international title in Peru. They're going to get mad at me if I don't show it.
Yeah, go on, show it. Check it out.
The Chileans and the Peruvians don't get along, right? But right now, I'm currently holding this. The reason why I still have this belt is because it got redesigned. So they gave it to me as a gift to keep the original title, even though I don't hold the championship anymore. But this bad boy right here, this is a whole nother story and a half, Peru. But maybe we'll get into that next time with LWA.
So, yeah. Also, it's a cool site, man. It's called Cage Match. It got like a lot of your information on here. So it said you was in WWE for a match too, right?
WWE, that's not.
Oh, that's wrong.
That's inaccurate. There's a lot of inaccurate stuff.
No, I know what they did was they're saying you're in WWE because they showed that a Ball pay-per-view on WWE Network. So that's why I guess they're saying.
Okay. I did a like a dark match.
Yeah. So they count.
Yeah, that was a favor. That was cool.
And then Impact, it has you wrestling in a match with Jeff Hardy.
Yep. That was my debut in Impact. That was a fun, interesting debut. The way that came about.
How did it come about?
Well, maybe 6 months prior to that, I had wrestled Matt Hardy at a Dreamwave show in Chicago, and man, we had a banger. And the funny thing about that story is, years ago when I broke my neck and this happened, Matt Hardy is one of the few people that hit me up on Twitter that said well wishes and stuff like that. Matt Hardy's low-key my second favorite wrestler of all time behind Rey Mysterio. Like, I'm making Matt Hardy shirts in high school because I couldn't afford them and wearing I Will Not Die to school. Really is part of shaping my confidence and things like that. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
So it was fucking cool for me to be able to wrestle him. But it was cool after our match, and we're kind of handshaking, like he won with 3 twists of fates, took 3 to take me down, and he's like, I really appreciate the contest. Gave me a run for my money, and I thanked him too. I was like, hey, I just got to thank you for your support all these years. And he stopped. And he was like, huh? What you talk about? And then I was like, oh yeah. And then he was like, wait, are you Charade? And I was like, yeah. He was like, I didn't even realize this whole time. He was like, he just thought, he was like, dang. because now he's remembering, like, I remember the clip and blah, and you're the actual kid, and we just wrestled. So then he was like, man, well, tell you what, Impact's got a taping coming up. I'm kind of in the office, you know, you should come down. You know, I don't have a whole lot of power yet, you know, but you should come down. And so I contacted who I needed to contact, and I got to the place, and I had only enough money for one night of hotel. And it was a 5-day taping in a casino. And I was there for opportunity, you know what I'm saying? And I showed up. And the first day I did the ring crew and all that kind of stuff. And they told me to come back the next day for a tryout match, for a 5-minute tryout match in front of producers and stuff like that. But then the next day came and something odd happened. Matt came over while we were having some downtime. I'm over with the ring crew. And he said, hey, can I talk to you for a second? I haven't really told this story much. I was like, okay, cool. So he brings me to the side. And he said, hey, so my brother's here. And at the time, Jeff had just been recovering from a motorcycle accident. So he was not fully cleared to wrestle yet. Mm-hmm. He was still maybe 3 months away from being able to even work out again. He was like, yeah, my brother's here. He really wants to wrestle. We're trying to convince the office to let him wrestle. And they're saying no. And I told him I had somebody really, really good. That's, you know, it would be a good match for him. And, you know, can you let it work? Would you be willing to do something short with him? And I was like, yeah. Let's go. So we had to find Jeff Hardy, and finding Jeff Hardy is not easy. So we're walking around looking at, you know, how do you find like someone that creeps in the shadows? Finally, we found Jeff, and he was like, oh, is this your guy? And we shook hands. So I met Jeff Hardy right then. And then Bob Ryder comes in, the talent guy, the middle guy. He comes in, and he knows me too. It turns out there had been a bunch of TNA fans that had been clamoring on Twitter and Facebook, sign Shinron for like a year. Like, I didn't even know this until someone tagged me in it. But like, there's been like 4 guys, and then it was like 12 guys, and then maybe like 20 guys, like making graphics and everything. Signed Shinron for TNA. They had this whole movement, and they had been bothering Bob Ryder for a year. And so he kind of knew who I was already. So by the time I emailed him, and then Matt said, come, it was like, oh yeah. So it was a perfect story. So then we got it approved, me versus Jeff Hardy that night. And then as we got closer and closer to the show time, they kept cutting the time of the match. They kept cutting it down. And the end result was what you saw on TV, which was cool too, because, you know, I was able to show some movements and show some things that I can do, some of my unique abilities. But at the end of the day, it's Jeff Hardy, and you're probably going to get Swanton.
Yeah, and then so name 2 of your top wrestlers. What's your other 3?
My favorites?
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio, Matt Hardy, AR Fox. 4th would be Speedball Mike Bailey. And 5th would be 4th is Gail Kim. Okay. 5th is Speedball Mike Bailey. 6th would be Sting if I had a number 6. He was my first favorite, my as a kid favorite.
You gotta, but what? So, cause I be playing like WWE 2K. So, what year Sting?
Yeah.
What year?
What year Sting? I'd say the WCW Sting.
88, 91, or black and white.
So it must have been like between 96 and like 98 Sting, like that era, because that's when I was watching. What's that?
Crow Sting.
Yeah. That one around that time.
But I gotta
that was my
you kind of put me on game. I gotta look up AR Fox and Mike Bailey. I never heard of them. I gotta look them up.
Yeah. AR Fox is
up to date. I'm
a genius. He's actually the owner of the WA4 now.
Okay,
it's crazy. Like, he was the star. He owns it now, and he's the head trainer. Huge come up for for bro. But Mike Bailey is from Canada, and he was my former tag team partner.
But the organization is based in Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 4?
Yep.
So I think they
WWA4ATL.com.
Yeah, he probably got that from 4 Horsemen. That's probably where he got it from.
No, I actually asked the guy exactly what. I was like, where does the 4 come from? He said it was just a random number I put on to be different, because everybody else had letters.
All right. And then, like I said, I watched you on Major League Wrestling, and I really like Major League Wrestling. That's the main one I'm watching right now. So how long you been with them? Like a couple of years now?
No, not even a year. I signed. Well, I guess it's a year. Like, yeah, it's been 1 year. I signed last July, and I debuted. No, last June, and I debuted June 6th or so in Chicago against Gringo Loco. And yeah, I've only had a handful of matches with them so far, but I'm signed to a multi-year deal. And then the pandemic hit, just when I feel like I was like sizzling up, you know what I'm saying? Then all our events got canceled. So that's what we're dealing with right now.
Y'all gonna ask you too. So, are you a singles wrestler or a tag team? Because I seen you. I think you was with Laredo Kid. I want to say I might be saying his name wrong too. But I saw you in a tag team match. So, are you tag team or singles or?
I mean, that was because he needed a partner that day. Injustice is being dicks. I'm trying to take down and I'm trying to, even the playing field there. But actually, it was supposed to be Gringo Loco tagging with Laredo Kid that night, but he couldn't make it due to the travel restrictions and the travel scare from Mexico at the time. So I jumped in. Laredo's one of my friends, so I jumped in and volunteered.
All right, and then,
but normally I'm more of a singles wrestler. I prefer being a singles wrestler only because I'm really picky with tag team partners, like long-term tag team partners. Mike Bailey has been my favorite, and he set the bar very, very high. We tag team as the Ninjas with Altitude back in the day, back in 2014.
Also, NWA.
Yeah, the Ninjas with Altitude, NWA. Came out to express yourself. That was our theme. Hey. And he's a black belt in Taekwondo.
Hey, my
girl, and I'm the gymnast. Boom.
My girl related to Eazy-E, so I hope he got some money for you playing his song like that. I'm messing with you. I was gonna say, what makes a good tag team partner?
Chemistry, like the way he thinks too, like the way it was so easy coming up with the game plan every night just because we thought very, very similar. And he's been wrestling longer than me. He's like a 14-year veteran. So I was learning from him at all times, and I could brush him up on his aerial abilities. It was really cool. Our arsenals complemented each other, and it was a very great cascade effect. Once we got the ball rolling, it was just like boom, 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 boom. It was amazing, and then it led us to fighting the Young Bucks in our last match. We only really had a handful of matches together, maybe like 15 total. Just that's how it worked out. He got banned from the U.S. after a little while, and I think he still has a few years left in his ban, maybe one or two. Because Canadian border control is just really strict. And if you're trying to make money and don't have a visa and you get caught, 5 years. So that ended our tag team abruptly. But it's almost over. Maybe we can get him back.
And what's your 5 favorite tag teams?
Ooh, that's hard. I'm gonna say no particular order. You got the Hardys, you got Batista and Ray. Just because they were inspiring, like I said, to get me into it, particularly Ray. You got London and Kendrick. Had a lot of good time watching their matches. That leaves 2 more. Really enjoy watching Jack Evans and Angelico. I wouldn't say they're my top 5, but I really appreciate what they do. Yeah. And there's some innovators for sure. Man. 2 more. Start naming your top 5. I got to think about the last 2.
Sucker. Harlem Heat.
Oh, Harlem Heat.
Yeah, I gotta put them together. Road Warriors.
Forgot about that. Okay.
Road Warriors.
All right.
Steiners.
Mm-hmm.
Then I guess I don't know. The Dudleys will be up there, but they won't be up there. Yeah, you said Hardy's already.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Edge and Christian back in the day. Of course, I respect them. But back then, they weren't particularly my favorites.
I think you named who I like. I like Eminem.
Eminem they grew on me over time. I hated them because they were the heels, but I really appreciated them over time, Johnny Nitro, or John Morrison, he's a super nice guy. I have met him on multiple occasions and been in the same locker rooms with him. Super down to earth, very chill. Just want to give him an endorsement. Good guy.
Yeah, then speaking of
so is Melina.
Yeah, speaking of endorsement, like I said, I feel like everybody I talk to, I tell them about Major League Wrestling because y'all got a lot of stars, but then a lot of vets up there still. I see they had Conan still there. I saw Savio Vega was there. Oh, what else Savio Vega doing? Yeah, so it's like Then they got the new people, new stars. I see the dynasties on there. I like it.
Yeah, MLW is really, trying to bring something fresh and something needed in wrestling. Some real. I think our presentation is just really, really good and cutting edge. It really whets the appetite. You know what I'm saying? So I really enjoy my time with Major League Wrestling so far.
Did you know they're on the Zone now? They have the the
They are on the Zone, yeah.
But then even now, what I like too is the underground because they show the old clips.
Yeah, yeah.
Hard. Like
MLW's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. MLW's got footage right now, which is really advantageous for MLW. One thing I really like about Court Bauer is he never stops moving. Like he's a hustler. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like, oh, pandemic, no problem. Let's get MLW Underground going. Boom, boom, boom. He's still looking for deals. Boom. MLW signed in this place in France. Boom. MLW's on TV here in this little pocket of Europe. Like he's steady growing and steady moving. So even though there's not a lot going on as far as live events, and we haven't been wrestling since February, that hurts the pocket. That hurts all of us. Everybody's getting a little impatient sitting at home. We're getting antsy. You know what I'm saying? But there's something to be said about patience. So we're all trying to hang in there. Right now we still have October and December events advertised and tickets sold. But I'm gonna tell you right now, December ain't happening. There's rumors that December's not happening because Philadelphia said there's no live events in the whole city at least until February 2021. So it's only a matter of time before that gets axed. So October is our only holdout right now for a 2020 return. So we're all dying, crossing our fingers. But that's still 4 months away, 3 months away, something like that. So we still got to hold on. So MLW's not going through the best of times right now, but stick with us because once we get back rolling, I had a lot of time to come up with things. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think about, there's been some organizations that's been kind of, or even just basketball, boxing, how they're doing it with no fans now. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it was really weird. Like, I didn't like it when WWE first did it as far as like the viewing experience. Like, I just thought it was missing a major components. It's just not as good. But at the same time, that's what you got to do. It's either not wrestle or wrestle with no or limited fans.
Yeah, they gonna get their bag.
Yeah, I do like what AEW has done with their presentation, with having some of the other wrestlers at ringside, and maybe some family and friends scattered throughout the place. That reminds me of Beyond Wrestling, the original Beyond Wrestling, when we were doing studio tapings, when we would literally have a ring in a wrestling school or a warehouse, and the wrestlers would wrestle for the wrestlers, and we would be the crowd for the other wrestlers, and that was a really cool formula. And maybe it's got to be tweaked, of course, for a international audience, right? But if that's what we got to do right now, a lot of wrestling places are doing that. Now, does MLW or does a lot of places have the capacity to do that? Like, can they afford to rent out a big building if there's not, there's no fans buying tickets? Like, that means they have to have a good deal, like TV deal or something. Like, so is their deal enough money to be able to do that? I don't know. I have no idea about the financials. I know AEW can pull it off. I know WWE can pull it off. And right now, they got a show every week, a fresh show every week. But everywhere else is kind of struggling and trying to find a way to finesse this. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if you watch NBA?
A little bit.
Yeah, they got some new shit they finna do. They saying, because right now they're playing in Orlando, but I guess they're going to make the damn, the screen is going to have 300 fans on it. And they're going to be watching it on Zoom. So I think that might end up being a new thing. Yeah, that shit kind of cool though. At the same time, when you think about it, because it's gonna be basically it's gonna be the fans, but it's like we all watching it like this. That shit might be something got to do like that eventually.
That'll work for basketball. I think that works, but for something like wrestling, that's a little harder. Was when we rely on that energy from the fans, because the fan reaction could actually change a match.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if the fans really get behind me when I'm trying to get up, then I got my opportunity to try to get some offense. That could give me a little extra boost to give me, a little extra pop on my offense there. Versus, I guess it could happen too with basketball, but that's more of I don't know. I'm not a basketball player, but I imagine it's less of an effect with something like basketball or soccer or something, and it's a little bit different of an effect with pro wrestling, if you know what I mean.
All right. So, where you see your future wrestling? How many more years you gonna wrestle?
Well, I'm only 28, not even 30 yet, so I got a
Shit,
lot
you
of
already
time.
been in it, so I know you got a lot of you like. I did that shit for like a week. No, I did for one day. I went to SoCal Pro Wrestling to try out. I was like, man, that shit rough. But then I was saying the
Not for
same thing.
everybody.
I was like, if I was a gymnast or something, I'd probably be cool with it. But I was like, I'm a big dude, so that shit was hard for me. So I'm like, it's just a lot of wear and
Yeah,
tear on your body. And you already said
for
10 years.
sure.
So
For sure. My first bump, I went in there not knowing how to bump, right? That first show that I went to WA for, I had to get in the ring. It was my first, so I slid in the ring. I didn't know I was allowed to if I just asked. But when everybody wasn't looking, I jumped into the ring and I just threw myself on the ground, so excited. And it hurt so bad. I felt like I broke 7 bones. I felt like my hip was over here. And then so I rolled out of the ring just in the last second before I got caught. And Mom was like, hey, you want to come meet Mr. Hughes? Hey, this is my son. And I'm sitting there, hi, like all fucking trying to hide my. It was bad. Like the first 3 months of training. Of course, I started learning how to do it after that. But still, the first 3 months tore my body to shreds. I still have a mark on my back from hitting the turnbuckles and ripping my skin open. Like your whole body has to acclimate. And the closest I came to quitting was not when I broke my neck. It was 3 months to 5 months into wrestling training. That's when it got the hardest. That's when it's like, are you going to do this or not? Most guys don't even make it to that far. We see them for their first week, and they're gone. Or if they stayed their first week, after 6 weeks, they're gone. Or maybe they'll make it 2 months, and then it really looks like they're in for it, and then they're gone, right? Then the next one is like a year and a half. But you'll notice if from a year to a year and a half, if they start slowing down, coming less, they're probably gone before year 2. The ones that I've seen make it at least 2.5 years and stay semi-regularly are the ones that go as far as they want to. You know what I mean? As far as, and do a decent job for themselves. At least they stay active and they're happy. Now, how many make money? That's a smaller percentage. But, it is what it is. It's not easy being a pro wrestler.
So you got another 30 years in? You say you only 28. So how long you
I don't know about 30. I don't know about 30. But I'm thinking at least 10 and probably, if I stretch it out and do it right, maybe pull the schedule back towards the end, a la the Taker. I like the Brock Lesnar approach. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to work a little bit less and keep myself exclusive. If you noticed, or if someone that followed me has noticed, I've already kind of started doing that over the past couple of years. I only wrestle in MLW in the United States, at least so far. I have, and that may change with who knows what's going to happen in 2020, 2021. But I really like to stay exclusive and like to stay loyal to the platforms that really go all in. And so far, MLW has done me great so far. And I like to spend a lot of my time overseas. So I tend to wrestle in spurts. I'll tend to wrestle like a few times a month and keep that really special, especially because my offense and the things I create in the ring it take a lot of thought, take a lot of practice, take a lot of precision. Sometimes it takes a lot of wear and tear, like you said. So I have to be a little smarter. But I'd rather stretch my career out by wrestling selectively than wrestle every weekend like I used to do and then wrestle only until I'm 36 and I can't walk anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right, man. What would you like to say to your fans and supporters?
I'd like to say I got something cooking in the oven that any day now I'm about to drop, and I'd really like your guys' support with it. It's called Lucha Wear. The League of Luchadors, and We Can Lucha. It's like a 3-way dance. I'm going to drop a little info right here. I've been keeping this under wraps, but I feel like I can share just a little bit more. But here's the premise. In the United States, Japan, Europe, there's a lot of opportunities for pro wrestlers, compared to a lot of other countries. There's a lot of variety for fans. If we want to get into some pro wrestling, boom, boom, pop on the internet, you could go to your local show. But in places like Zimbabwe, Bolivia, Peru, in places like, New Zealand, there's less opportunities, there's less shows running, there's less good, knowledgeable talent teaching the younger talent, and that has generational effects. But that doesn't mean there's any less of a passion from those wrestlers that want to be included in the international conversation of wrestling, right? There's a lot of good-hearted souls out there, and I started learning this when I started going to these places, and I started seeing meeting, the people out there. So basically, I wanted to find a way to give back. So Weekend Lucha is my way of giving back and trying to bridge that gap between the opportunities we may have here, as well as the other two things I said. So just keep following me. I'm not going to drop the super deets yet, but by the end of the week, I'll have a video out. I'll have everything out, and you can see and support. So I appreciate everybody. Stay patient with MLW. Stay patient with us, and let's keep rocking. Let's get through this.
I forgot to ask you, man. Are you a hip hop fan?
Yeah, I love it. More old school though.
So we got to get your top 5 hip hop.
Ooh, top 5. I don't like this strict order. You put me on the spot. But I like me some Snoop. I like me some Dr. Dre. Fucking even like Crisscross. Like somebody did back into the 80s a little bit. Even some new cats. I like Logic a lot. Logic's actually my favorite rapper. Just retired. Rat Pack forever. Jordan Lucas is cool. Even some old Will Smith tracks on those. Some people go like, Will's too. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere from, late 80s up to like that 96, 97 range. I really, really screw with Biggie, Tupac, obviously. And some of the newer guys,
Yeah, one of the hosts of the wrestling podcast, they saw you. They was like, "Oh, he got the hammer pants on." Yeah, I think it was wrestling. You was beyond wrestling. It was a little clip of you and Desmond Xavier, and you had some hammer pants on. He's like, he got hammer pants.
Yeah, man, good old Desmond Xavier.
But yeah, man, it was nice talking to you, man. I'm gonna have to catch up with you later and get the other stories.
You as well. Thank you. Where's this gonna be?
It's gonna be everywhere you want it to be. It's gonna be on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, just send me the links and stuff, and so I can promote it.
Yeah, what's your social media again?
The Aerial Artist @The Aerial Artist. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.